Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Jewel here, and once again I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of WarioWare D.I.Y, or simply called WarioWare Do-It-Yourself, specifically for the Nintendo DS. So, last time, we somehow managed able to went into Jimmy T stage, and overall we actually did that stage pretty well, and as a matter of fact, we did indeed manage able to obtain every single microgames as we expected, although despite the fact that the actual boss microgame, I will admit it right away, is kind of annoying sometimes, mainly due to the forms of the RMG aspect, in regards to the forms of trying to pull off one specific shot on the forms of snooker game. So overall, apart from that particular stuff though, yeah, we did that pretty good, all things considered. So yeah, everything else checks out there. So today for this video is that we are about to be diving into the next stage, which appears to be Ashley's stage. So as a matter of fact, about the fact that yes, today's the day is the forms of the 21st of June today, in some cases in 2025 today, which I'll discuss more details about the forms of what's been going on recently once we're able to actually get the stage started. So as you can tell, we're going into Ashley now. So because of that though, I'm pretty sure her microgames genre is going to be focuses around food. So as a result though, that was before when I would say WarioWare Get It Together also utilizes food as a genre for the sake of the forms of Ashley microgames as far as I'm aware. I mean, mind you though, it has been about 6 days ago since I actually have last played this game for sure, because relatively speaking, as you probably already expect, that we are still really hoping that Maxi would eventually finish up every aspect in terms of Paper Mario, but at the moment right now, that Pac-Man is actually going to be playing through Pac-Man World 2 for the Game Boy Advance at the moment, so just in case about the fact that hopefully though, Maxi will get the actual last final stretch done before we move on to the next big Let's Play for 2025. So anyway, so as you can tell for the fact that I'm pretty sure that Ashley and Red are actually going to be on a film set as far as I'm aware, just because I can definitely tell from the actual the color contrast with the actual specific environment itself. So either way, so obviously that was about the fact that, as I mentioned this before, every single microgames for Ashley is going to be all around food related. So either way, so yeah, there are a few explanations I'd like to point things out, and that's what appears to be for the fact that recently though, not only does Animal Crossing New Horizons get its new version update, but also Pikmin 3 Deluxe as well. So for instance though, with Pikmin 3 Deluxe, is currently now on to version 1.1.3 update, which I'm not entirely sure what the actual update features to be exactly. I mean, mind you though, it has been quite some time since I actually have researched upon Pikmin since Pikmin 4, and you get the idea for this point. So anyway, it was also reassuring about the fact that meanwhile, in terms of Animal Crossing New Horizons, that game is currently now on to version 2.0.8. So no matter what though, I haven't exactly thought about the actual specific update patch notice for those two games combined, or technically speaking though, in regards to the forms of Pikmin 3 Deluxe, as well as the forms of Animal Crossing New Horizons at the same time. So, dang it, we did not make it to the boss microgame after all. I mean, mind you though, it was actually a very sluggish start. And yeah, they're apparently on the filmmaking because of the forms of that particular lights, camera, action kind of thing, which is actually kind of interesting, all things considered. All that little clip thingy right there, which actually signifies about the fact that they're actually on the filming set for its well, let's just say a film project for Ashley as far as I'm aware. And generally speaking, I was about the fact I still really like the fact that they did manage able to say 20XX, you know, just like the forms of how it does it for Pikmin 3. But that's besides the point. So anyway, there's also another thing else I would like to explain to you all, is about the fact that by that time until, like let's just say, we've only got about 5 more days left until specifically the next gaming presentation is going to be up, and this time what appears to be none other than Capcom Showcase, which, as far as I'm aware, they are obviously going to be able to bring in more information about the films of Street Fighter 6, and on top of all that stuff though, with this unexpected announcement in regards to the films of Capcom Spotlight. So because of that though, I'm pretty sure the entire presentation is going to be up until the 26th of June, so that's roughly on, if I can recall correctly, it's going to take place in Thursday, if I can recall, so we can able to actually realize about the films the hype has been going on, made by Capcom, especially because, you know, more updates will be added for the sake of the films of, you know, Street Fighter 6, and maybe we'll hear more about the films of Resident Evil 9, Aquarium, and much more. So relatively speaking, I was about the fact that, because after all, though we've already got Monster Hunter Wilds as ever since in Journey films have been the earliest point of the year, so yeah, we can pretty much expect what this is going. So anyway, time for the boss microgame in Ashley's stage, and that's what appears to be called Bread Trap, which means it's time to create a sandwich. So, in fact, it kind of reminds me like a similar microgame as the forms of back in WarioWare Smooth Moves, except this time around though, you simply try to able to tap the bottom screen or tap the touch screen, so that way you can able to actually try to, you know, merge between two breads, so that way we can able to try to get one of those ingredients, because if you accidentally put in a wrong ingredient, well, you simply just lose the boss microgame. So, it's all about timing as well, so just to ensure for the fact you always have to pay attention to the forms of the actual visual cue, so just in case about the fact you don't accidentally manage to able to overdo it. So, yeah, pretty self-explanatory for that particular boss microgame. I mean, sometimes though it can be pretty tricky sometimes, just because of all that, well, random luck factor to it, if they manage to bring in a multitude of obstacles at once, or multitude of items as far as I'm usually concerned with, but either way, dang it, there goes my second run. But on the plus side, at the very least we did already encounter the boss microgame, so relatively speaking I was about the fact that as far as microgames are concerned, I'm pretty sure for the fact that we've almost gotten every single one of them. Well, in terms of the forms of the Diamond software of microgames as far as this is concerned, at least I don't want to count the forms of D.I.Y stuff, to be honest with you, but that's just mainly because, as I explained this to you before, that it's been ages since I actually have last experienced D.I.Y microgames in the past, but that's just mainly because, as I mentioned this before, it's a shame about the fact that the online service has been shut down since in 2014. Well, I'm sure enough though, it is still possible you can able to still experience some D.I.Y microgames during the forms of the well, the WarioWare Incorporated or anything else like that, as well as the forms of some Techniques 101 or something like that. Again, I will admit to that right away, I do apologize for my commentary, because it's a little bit awkward sometimes, because relatively speaking though, straight to the point, that the weather condition right now, at least specifically in the UK, has actually gone really hot, although nowhere near as like extremely hot compared to the forms of how it does it back in 2022, because my lord, that during the informs of one of those days, I would say, on the 19th of July in 2022, my lord, the temperature goes all like ridiculously high, within 40 degrees, during the informs of in the UK back then. I mean, geez Louise, I could imagine about the fact that me and Blue have somehow managed able to, you know, trying to cope with it, and as a matter of fact though, luckily we did manage able to cool ourselves down, especially thanks to the forms of that particular fan, and of course, drinking lots of water, because obviously though, you know, hydration is more important more than anything, along with hungry, of course. So, speaking of hungry, then we obviously attempt to complete the boss microgame again with no issues whatsoever. And every time whenever you get into the actual transition right there, we can able to actually keep on tapping the touchscreen to able to change those specific masks for Ashley. And as a result, once you're able to actually see Ashley's face, this means you can no longer try to keep on bringing up those masks again. So, that's something worth noting for, I guess. So, anyway, and I'm genuinely surprised about the fact that Pac-Man has completely forgot to mention about, since during the forms of in yesterday's discussion all about the forms of Donkey Kong Bonanza, that apparently though, there's going to be a brand new mechanic of the forms of Donkey Kong Bonanza, and that's what appears to be Transformation Bonanzas, which means about the fact that at some point throughout the game, you will come across into one of those elders, depending on what specific locations you go into. And yeah, well, be speaking now, that if you try to perform a specific song with Pauline, more accurately like a younger counterpart of Pauline, basically though is about the fact that we can able to transforming into one of those different Bonanza transformations. Like so far they somehow listed for about 3 transformations as far as I'm aware. You know, think of like the forms of how it does it for The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. In regards to the forms of what masks you'll be wearing, well, depending on what specific transformation you turn into, like a Deku Scrub, or one of the Zoras, or one of those Gorons, and you pretty much get the idea what I was expecting for that point. So relatively speaking, those transformations are, let's just say, Zebra Bonanza, in addition to Ostrich Bonanza, and Kong Bonanza, which as a result, I do found that particular mechanic to be pretty cool, especially it also reminds me of so much of trying to able to actually activate certain powers for the likes of the forms of one of those divine beasts as far as I'm aware, like for instance though for the fact that in the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild specifically, that you can able to actually use one of those abilities, you can able to fly in airborne, while at the same time though about the fact that you can able to actually activate the glide whatever you wanted to, and in addition to that there's also with the forms of, you know, activating that particular shield power or anything else like that. I mean, mind you though, it's been about quite a few years ago since I actually have last played not only The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but in addition to The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom as well, just because at this point in time, I'm still busy playing through my Nintendo Switch 2, as you probably already expect, especially because considering for the fact at this point in time that, you know, Blaze the Cat has already finished up every aspect in terms of Sonic X Shadow Generation Switch 2 version, and it's only a matter of time from now on that we are still playing through Mario Kart World. By that time, until when that time comes, then obviously though we can able to actually be more excited to try out the forms of Donkey Kong Bonanza once that game comes out in the next couple of days time. So as a result, and I believe no matter what though, I'm pretty guaranteed for the fact that we've only got about 26 more days to go until that particular game's going to be releasing for Switch 2. So either way, that's actually going to be pretty exciting all things considered, you know? Anyway, so now we go on to the third run of the forms of that particular bread trap micro game right there. So hopefully though, without any some sort of issues right there so far. Anyway, and it's also reassuring about this too, is about the fact that speaking of which, in regards to the forms of Nintendo Switch 2, I did recently found out that another one of those games is sadly going to be one of those game key card releases, and that's what it appears to be. Legend of Heroes Trails Beyond the Horizon for Nintendo Switch 2. Sadly though, that game is going to be a part of the game key card releases, which means about the fact that you do need the internet to download the full entire game itself if you manage to get the game physically. So because of that though, still, it feels a little bit too baffling for what I've noticed, especially considering for the fact that at least that's what Joy did somehow mention about this before, whenever we did somehow manage to get ourselves the, you know, the Switch 2 version of Sonic X Shadow Generations. So, but at least still, thankfully though with Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, it's not one of those game key card releases, thankfully, which is especially noticeable considering for the fact that, you know, we're about to be getting ourselves the Switch 2 upgrade pack. So, yeah, you get the gist of it. So, it looks like so far so good in terms of the forms of Ashley stage as far as I'm aware. I mean, sure, there are some mistakes from time to time, but regardless of such though, if you accidentally managed able to let the, well, if you accidentally put the wrong ingredient on this particular boss micro game right there, not only for the fact that you will able to fail the boss micro game, but also keep that in mind, you're also on a time limit too. In fact, every single boss micro games, apart from one, it does feature a time limit, which we'll discuss more about that. If we get onto the forms of without doubt is the best stage in the whole entire experience. So, anyway. And I'm pretty sure we've actually got every single micro games up to this point, so yeah, everything else will become to expect. So anyway, ah dang it, I wasn't fast enough. And straight to the point, yeah, there goes our third run, and I'm pretty sure for the fact that, like I said earlier, I do believe that we somehow got every single micro games, because obviously I can definitely see, you know, fully colored Ashley's icon on the bottom screen. So this means about the fact that, well, at this point in time, that we somehow managed able to got every single micro games in Ashley's stage pretty much. So speaking of micro games though, let's see what the micro games are in terms of Ashley's stage. So we have Rice Stuffed, Cake Defense, Snack Soccer, Ketchup Down, there's also Melon Hound, and also Cracked Up, Cooking Bug, Shooting Fruit, or Shoot Fruit to be more specifically, Fruit Fans, Harvest Time, Food Colors, Piecemeal, and Cone Catch, Salad Days, and True Skewer, Ice Pop Star, Double Order, Farmhands, and of course, as I mentioned this before, the boss micro game is called Bread Trap. Now I'm sure enough though, there's actually that one specific micro game that is exclusive to Japanese version, which appears to be, if I can recall correctly, Moshiakisha. I don't know if I can able to pronounce that very well, plus mind you, because I haven't exactly got the Japanese version of the game basically. So with that being said, yeah, we've basically done 3 stages, so we only got 2 stages to go, or technically more stages than that, once we've done everything on the DS version. So with that being said folks, is that we get endings up this point right here. So join me next time for some more of Let's Play of WarioWare D.I.Y. or WarioWare Do It Yourself for the Nintendo DS, is that we are about to be heading off into the next stage, which appears to be Orbulon. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later fellas.